So now let's bring in Olivia Siong, who was at the Chinese Foreign Minister's briefing on the country's diplomatic priorities, and she joins us from Beijing. Olivia, the briefing by Qin Gang is timely given the tensions with Washington. And as we mentioned, he said how the U.S. handled the balloons incident created a crisis that could have been avoided. Tell us a bit more.
Well, this is one of the most closely watched news conferences that happens every year on the sidelines of China's annual political meetings. It's a wide-ranging news conference, as it has been, as we had just seen earlier, but it's been very clear that the topmost foreign policy priority for China is its relationship with the United States, which has been troubled in the last few years. In the lead-up to these meetings, tensions escalating over that alleged Chinese spy balloon incident that the U.S. shot down over its airspace. And Mr. Qin did not shy away from addressing it head-on, starting off his news conference already with veiled swipes at the U.S., in which he did say that it would be China's mission on the foreign policy front to defend China's core interests, oppose any form of hegemonism in power politics, Cold War mentality, and any attempts to hold back any country's development. And this is language that has been used frequently by Chinese officials to counter U.S. actions, which it views as trying to contain China's rise. And in addressing the ongoing balloon row, we saw that Mr. Qin blamed the U.S. for escalating tensions, reiterating China's position that what happened was an incident, it said, which was unintentional and because of force majeure, and also saying that the U.S. had acted with a presumption of guilt, accusing it of overreacting, abusing force, and dramatizing the incident. Mr. Qin also accused the U.S. of creating a diplomatic crisis, he said, which could have been avoided.
从偶然中可以看到必然，那就是美国的对华认知和定位出现了严重的偏差，把中国当作最主要的竞争对手和最严峻的地缘政治挑战。这第一颗纽扣扣错了，就导致美国的对华政策完全偏离了理性健康的正轨。
Now, as we have seen, China-U.S. ties continue to spiral downwards, with both sides clashing over a range of issues. We saw a broader warning from Mr. Qin, when talking about the broader Sino-U.S. relationship, in which he said that if the U.S. does not hit the brake but continue to speed down what he called the wrong path, that no amount of guardrails can prevent derailing it, that there will surely be conflict and confrontation. This, as the U.S. has said, that in its attempts to have dialogue with Chinese officials, that's aiming to manage competition and its differences between both sides, and wanting to put in place guardrails in this relationship. Mr. Qin saying that, accusing the U.S. of causing this downward spiral of relations. And today, in particular, we heard Mr. Qin talk about the issue of Taiwan, which has been one of the main sources of friction between the two countries. Also, as we are hearing today of U.S. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy talking about plans to meet Taiwan President Tsai Ing-wen in California. Mr. Qin did not directly address this concern, but we do know that Beijing has been angered by U.S. planned arms sales and these high-level official visits to the island. Mr. Qin instead reiterating that the Taiwan issue is the bedrock of China-U.S. relations and is the first red line, which it says must not be crossed. And in one dramatic moment, at one point, taking out a hard copy of China's constitution, reading from it, saying that Taiwan is part of China's territory. He also sought to perhaps provide a little bit of a balance with an assurance, accompanied with a stern warning, saying that Beijing will work with greater sincerity to pursue peaceful reunification, but that it reserved the option of taking all necessary measures, and that no one should underestimate the strong will of the Chinese government and people to safeguard the country's sovereignty and territorial integrity. So certainly some stern words there from Mr. Qin in this news conference to the U.S.